So we started last night keeping the Sabbath with a lesson entitled, Jesus didn't just die for our sins, but he was murdered. And that's what that went by a lot of people. People do not understand the dynamics surrounding Jesus dying for our sins. He did die for our sins. But how did he die? Most people don't know that. Most people claiming to believe that Jesus died for their sins. They do not know how he died. Therefore, they don't understand what they are up against being a follower of Jesus. Because if you know what happened to Jesus, then you in line for some of the same exact treatment. That's what he tells you all over the scripture. He told you, we didn't read that, we might have read it, Matthew 10, one place. He said, the servant is not greater than his Lord. You know, if they treated me this way, they gonna treat you this way. He's the Lord. They treated him. He was without sin. They mistreated him. But again, people don't understand. They don't understand the dynamics surrounding how Jesus died for our sins. It tells you point blank in Acts the 7th chapter that wicked people, Stephen told him, he got killed. He got killed for saying that. That wicked people murdered Jesus. Tell you that in Acts 2. So that's what we need to understand so we know, our position in this world as it pertains to being a servant of God. You're an outsider. He told you in John 15, if the world hates you, basically he's saying, one of them said, don't trip. It hated me before it hated you. Then he went on in John 16 to say that the time gonna come, they'll put you out of the church. So that lets you know again who killed Jesus and who gonna hate you more than anybody. People that believe some bad teaching, some false doctrine. That's who hated and killed Jesus. Church people. That's why he said it in John 16. He said, the time will come, they'll put you out of the churches, synagogues, he said. And then he went beyond that. He said, and the time will come that whosoever will kill you will think that he doing service to God. So they so brainwashed, they don't understand. They believe that they on God's side and they go out and kill somebody thinking they on God's side. And they couldn't be further from it. And that's just another example that the people who serve in Jesus, what side of the coin, what side of the street you gonna be on that is hated by the world at large. But now we got another lesson. We're gonna start this one off in Revelation 3. This lesson today, Revelation 3. So figured, because just last Sabbath, we was dealing with the mark of the beast, and some of that stuff, and it's a lot of bloodshed. And I like to prepare people for that because we all would like to escape the drama that's coming, but that's no guarantee. Some people going to escape, but then I like to, it's like the saying go, we need to prepare for the worst. Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Because if the worst come, you need to be ready. If you escape to the wilderness, which that's the only escape you're going to be able to make all of these hard times that's coming. Because we only at the tip of the iceberg now. We seeing some rough times in the world. This is nothing. Had an earthquake in it. Turkey and Syria killed over 20,000 people. Just like that. So these are definitely the end times. But it's going to get worse. It's going to get much worse. And the time is coming that's called Great Tribulation. And the only escape from Great Tribulation is to follow the Lord's instructions and flee like he said. But it's amazing, brothers and sisters. They got this false doctrine called the rapture that everybody practically believe. Ain't no backup scripture whatsoever in the Bible to back up the rapture, but everybody believe. The word not even in there. I give them a pass on the word not being in there, though. I give them a pass on that, because if the doctrine was in there, we can go with it. So, but the word not in there, for you to believe something so wholeheartedly, and it's not even in the Bible, that shows you that's a shame. There is no rapture. The doctrine of the rapture is not in there. Because what is the doctrine of the rapture? The doctrine of the rapture is this hard times we're talking about, when it get out of hand, when it get to great tribulation. People, they got to believe, they got them believing that they don't have to worry about it, that they just going to be swooped up before it happened. That's why if you see the handout, if they put that on there, I don't know if they put it on there, they got them people looking so happy sailing up in the air. It's not going to happen. And I know the word rapture, they say, well, it means caught up, and they're going to read the scripture. Well, we're going to read the verse they read, 1 Thessalonians 4. But so it means caught up, but when are you caught up? When are those people caught up? They surely, Bible backs it up, they surely are not caught up before the trouble. So that's a problem. What you talking about in 1 Thessalonians, tribulation is over with. You have went through tribulation and survived if you one of the ones caught up when Jesus coming, because Jesus is coming. And he only coming back one time, brothers and sisters. He ain't coming back to steal some people and go back to heaven and then come back again. It makes no sense. But we're going to get into it. That's it. The wilderness. And then the wilderness, that's a lesson in itself that nobody has heard of. We've been doing it for years. It was on TV some years ago. A lady called up, saw the wilderness. You on that TV talking about the wilderness? Y'all gonna be out there like Jim Jones. Yeah, he said, y'all gonna die out there. But yet you believe in a fairy tale that you can't read nowhere. So I know when you say the wilderness, that sounds real crazy. But let's read the Bible and see if it backs it up, if the Bible backs it up. Because I know it sounds crazy, because, people have ran off. Jim Jones, I don't know, it wasn't the wilderness. He took them to where? Somewhere in South America, right? And they drank the Kool-Aid. Well, we teach people not to drink the Kool-Aid. So we couldn't be far from that. And we teach people to pay attention to the signs. But clearly, the Lord is a God like this. Even when times get hard, he give you instructions, brothers and sisters, on what you need to do to escape. He's not just swooping nobody out the way anyway. That's not the Lord's M.O. What is his M.O.? All we got to do is look at the Bible. What was the M.O. when he decided to drown the whole world in Noah's time? Did he just swoop Noah out the way? He going to save Noah, right? Or did Noah have to get busy and do something on his own? He had to get busy. He told Noah what to do. He said, look, you make you an ark. If Noah didn't make that ark, he would have drowned with everybody else. He had to make that ark according to the specifications that God gave him. He had to do something. He couldn't just sit around and say, I'm going to wait on the Lord. He going to swoop me out. What if he said, Lord, why I got to go through all that? Why don't you just take, look, he would have been dead. Same thing with Lot in Sodom and Gomorrah. Did the Lord just swoop him out on GP? No, he wanted to save Lot, mainly because of Abraham, but Lot had to be straight himself. But he gave Lot instructions to flee. Lot had to get out of Dodge. He had to flee out of Sodom and Gomorrah. And when he moved too slow, the angels gave him a little head start and helped him. But the angel said, run for your life. Get up out of here and don't even look back. And to show you it's no guarantees to this thing, something happened to Lot's wife, right? Something happened to Lot's wife that even Jesus is quoting concerning our times, the last days. Jesus said, remember Lot's wife. So that's an example. They had to run for their life, and she looked back and she got destroyed. Turn it to a pillow of salt. But we have Revelation 3. That's it. The wilderness, not the rapture, the only escape from great tribulation. The wilderness, not the rapture, the only escape from great tribulation. Revelation 3 and verse 10. Read that one verse, my brother. Go ahead.
Because thou hast...
Revelation 3, we're going to try it again. Revelation 3 and where we at? Verse 10. Yes, sir. Go ahead, read it.
Because thou hast kept the word of my patience,
Uh-huh.
I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation,
Uh-huh.
which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth.
Okay, so notice it's always predicated on some actions that you have to do. What did he say first of all? He said, because you've been doing something. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience. You've been doing something. You've been enduring up until that point. So it's not like the Lord is just saving any and everybody on GP. The people that are getting delivered from this terrible time, the people that's getting delivered, they are getting delivered because they've been walking with the Lord. They've been suffering. They've been doing like we talked about last night in the lesson with Jesus didn't just die for our sins. He got murdered. They've been going through persecution. They've been dealing with. So he says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation. It's a terrible time right here. It's so bad he called it the hour of temptation, which should come on all the world to try them. This will be the worst temptation man has ever seen. It's worse. Why? Because you will be tempted by a wicked man forcing you to bow down and worship a lie, forcing you to do it. And it's such bad temptation, he's going to be threatening to kill you if you don't do it. So that's the old proverbial saying, because God is standing up here saying, you better not do it, I'm going to put you in hell. The man said, you better do it, I'm going to kill you right now. That's the old proverbial saying. That's definitely between a rock and a hard place, isn't it? That's why he called it the hour of temptation. And notice it's not just in a few places around in your neighborhood, but it's okay over there. Like that earthquake hit Syria and Turkey area, right? That's just over there. So you keep on eating your breakfast in the morning. You read about 20,000 people died in an earthquake in Syria. You don't even stop eating breakfast. But this is going to be all over. That's what he said. Read it one more time.
Because thou hast kept the word of my patience,
What I'm going to do for you.
I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation,
I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. Go ahead.
which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth.
Which shall come upon all the world, brothers and sisters. See, times have been bad, but we ain't seen nothing yet. It's going to come on all the world to try them to dwell upon the earth. But he got a way out. Now let's look at what it's not. Go to 1 Thessalonians 4, because this is really the main rapture scripture. We're going to come back here in a minute. We're not going to read it all right now, so keep your finger. 1 Thessalonians 4, we're going to pick it up at verse 17. We're going to read that one verse because this is the quote-unquote rapture scripture, brothers and sisters. This is the scripture that everybody want to follow. See, we're going to be caught up to meet the Lord. Let's read it. 1 Thessalonians 4 and verse 17. Go ahead.
Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds, to meet the Lord in the air.
To meet the Lord in the air. Go ahead.
And so shall we ever be with the Lord.
Okay, so they say, well, the word rapture, it comes from, it means caught up. So they say, this is it. We're going to get away. We ain't got to worry about it. Because so I've been preaching to people individually about great tribulation, how bad it's going to be. And they've actually told me, I don't need to know that. I don't even need to know that because I'm going to be raptured. I'm okay. Like, you don't need to know stuff I'm reading to you out the Bible. That's a problem in itself. But that show you have went hook, line, and sinker for the okie doke. But that's what they think. I'm going to be raptured. I don't need to know nothing about. Look, the Lord got all this information in the Bible so you know what to do when something bad is happening. So you know how to operate. So he said, then at this point, we're going to come back and read because we really need to read more of this to really see what it's talking about. But he said, then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds. Them, by the way, is dead folks. So this is the second coming of Jesus and the resurrection of the dead. That's what this is about. This is not a secret rapture before tribulation start. Tribulation is over with at this time. So you can't use this scripture. Find another one. You can't use this one. But it's a problem. There is no other one. There is no rapture. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord. That means the Lord is coming down from heaven. He's already in our atmosphere in the clouds. To meet the Lord in the to meet the Lord in the air, in the clouds, to meet him in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. So we're going to be with the Lord from then on. But he's coming in the clouds and you meeting him right up there. But what time is this? Let's go to Matthew 24 right quick. We're going to come back to Thessalonians, 1 Thessalonians 4. Let's go to Matthew 24 and see what happens. Because this, if you had a second rapture scripture, this would be it. This would be it. They like to quote this. But again, we need to put a time frame on it, because if the theory of the rapture is to swoop me out of the way from all the trouble, it obviously need to happen before the trouble starts, right? But the scripture that they are basing it on, the trouble is over with. Matter of fact, Jesus is coming to put the trouble to an end. All of it's behind now. It's over with. Jesus is coming to put it to bed. Matthew 24 and verse 40. Read that, my brother.
Then shall two be in the field.
Uh-huh.
The one shall be taken and the other left.
So this will be the second best scripture that they like to use about the rapture. See, two going to be in the field, one going to be taken. Yeah, but what time is it? I need to know if this is before tribulation, so I'm going to be scooped out the way, or if it's not, I need to find some other alternatives. I need to realize this is false teaching, which is deadly. Then shall two be in the field. One shall be taken and the other left. 41.
Two women shall be grinding at the mill.
Uh-huh.
The one shall be taken and the other left.
Okay, but we're going to back up and see what time it is in a second. Let's go to verse 36, though, first. Because this is the time, but it's after the drama has taken place. We're going to see. 36.
But as the days...
But of that day.
But as the days... Oh, I'm sorry. 36. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only.
So what day is he talking about? He's actually talking about his second coming. See, Jesus only making one second coming. So you can't tell me he gonna come before tribulation, scoop you out the way, go back to heaven, and then come again after tribulation. It's only one second coming. The Lord gonna let tribulation roll. Then he gonna come at the end of it. So that's what we're talking about, his second coming as of the day of hour. Don't nobody know, not even the angels, but my Father only. 37.
But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
So that's why I wasn't out of line when I compared the second coming of Jesus to the days of Noah. Because Jesus compared it to it. He said it's going to be just like the days of Noah. Well, what was the days of Noah? Everybody got killed. That's what the days of Noah was. Everybody got killed. And Noah is the only one that escaped by following accurate instruction. But first of all, he was a servant of God. So that's key. Notice, remember the scripture in Revelation 3 verse 10 said, because you have kept the word of my patience. You got to be serving God. If you're not doing what God say, you can forget about all of it. You might as well get ready to face what you got to face if you're not listening and being obedient to him. That's what Noah was doing. The Bible said Noah was righteous. That's what the Bible say. So he said, but as the days of Noah, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. We talking about his coming, though. Go ahead, 38.
For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage.
Until what?
Until the day of Noah entered into the ark. And knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
Oh, so he giving you a blow by blow example what it's going to be like. What it's going to be like, just like in the days of Noah. For as in the days of Noah were, as in the days that were before the flood. Before the flood, they were eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark. So everybody doing their own thing, they not paying attention. So he's comparing this to nowadays. People doing the same thing. Don't nobody really believe the world gonna come crashing down. They don't really believe it. They think some kind of way. See, people started to wake up a little bit with that pandemic though. People started to say, wait a minute, this is different. Exactly. It's gonna be more different in the future. So he said it was just business as usual until Noah entered into the ark. And read 39 one more time.
And knew not until the flood came and took them all away.
They did not realize what was going on until the flood came and took them all away. So what again?
So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
Oh, that's what it's going to look like then. Nobody as a whole is going to be paying attention to. This is why we're trying to tell people, don't believe in no false rapture. You're going to be in tribulation, and then the Lord going to come, and you're going to end up getting destroyed because you don't know what's going on. You're not trying to keep his commandments, and you don't even have a clue of what's about to happen. But now back up to verse 21. So that's what it's going to look like. He gave you a complete comparison. Took it back to the days of Noah when the world literally ended back then. Didn't nobody pay attention. So we shouldn't be surprised that nobody is paying attention to people like us that are only reading the Bible. Back up to verse 21 now. Go ahead.
For then shall be great tribulation.
For then, when? Well, it starts at a particular event, which we're going to back up and get a little later. But whenever it is great tribulation like the world has never seen. Then shall be great tribulation. Go ahead.
Such as was not seen since the beginning of the world to this time. No, nor ever shall be.
The worst time the world has ever seen or will ever see is coming. We haven't got there yet. But we on our way. So all the famines and pestilence, I just mentioned the earthquake, we had COVID-19, all of that put together don't add up to this. We haven't got to that yet. That's just preliminary. That's what he said at verse 8 in this chapter. You read it on your own. He said, what we seeing now, that's the beginning of sorrows. Where we living at right now, we in the beginning of the end. Beginning of sorrow. But when this great tribulation comes, it's going to be more than a notion. Such as not since the world began to this time. And how bad can and will it get, brothers and sisters? Verse 22.
And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved.
Oh, and except the Lord don't shorten them. How he going to shorten them? He going to come back. He going to end the world. He literally got to end the world for man destroy us all. That's what he got to do. And they brag about the capabilities that they have to destroy us all. But because we got faith in the Lord, we know that's not going to happen. Even the scientists, they got the doomsday clock at the University of Chicago. They know it's just a matter of time till they try to destroy us all. They just don't have faith in the Lord. They too smart to have that. They don't have faith in the Lord. So they really think it's going to happen and everything is going to be destroyed. But Jesus is telling you right here, he going to step in. He got to. He said, except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But what?
But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened.
Going back to his chosen, who he started with, he cannot break his oath, his promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But now, skip down to verse 29. Because we got great tribulation. Now we're going to see what happens at the end of great tribulation. Verse 29.
Immediately after the tribulation of those days.
Okay, so now we after tribulation. Immediately after the tribulation, talking about the great tribulation of those days, something is going to happen. What's going to happen? Let's get some signs that we can register with. Go ahead.
Shall the sun be darkened?
Okay, one thing we know, the sun is getting darker. Go ahead.
And the moon shall not give her light.
And the moon is not giving her light. Go ahead.
And the stars shall fall from heaven.
And everything is being shaken up in the sky, in the atmosphere, stratosphere, whatever you want to call it. Everything is being shaken up, right? Sun getting dark, moon not shining, stars falling, everything being shaken. Go ahead.
And the powers of the heavens shall be shaken.
Go ahead.
And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven.
Oh, and now here comes Jesus. But what time is this? Immediately after tribulation. So I don't need no rapture now, do I? I should have been had a rapture way before verse 21. I should have had a rapture back then. I don't need no rapture here after tribulation. It's over with. Jesus coming to stop man from killing us all. Go ahead.
And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn.
Why?
And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory.
They're going to see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. He coming now. He coming in the cloud. Don't you know this is exactly what we read in 1 Thessalonians 4? In the clouds, remember? This is when you're going to meet him. Or unless you're going to tell me coming to the clouds twice. He's not doing that, brothers and sisters. This is what they call the rapture, is really just the second coming of Jesus after tribulation. It's over with. You ain't gonna get saved from nothing. So you better make some other plans, and that's why we got the wilderness on this sheet, to show you really the only way you can escape this terrible time. But the first thing is to be a servant of God. But go ahead, finish that.
31. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet.
That's another sign when he coming. He got that trumpet blowing. But this is the second coming. After tribulation. Go ahead.
And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other.
From one all over the world, his chosen. But now, let's go back to the quote-unquote rapture scripture, 1 Thessalonians 4, and read it one more time with some understanding. So can't nobody give you that and tell you that's something that's happening, get you away from tribulation. Matter of fact, when you read this whole text that he's talking to these Thessalonians about, it's all about dead folks. It's not about no great tribulation or rapture from tribulation or none of that. It's not about none of that, brothers and sisters. 1 Thessalonians 4, and we're going to pick it up. Matter of fact, on your own time, you can read starting at verse 13. I'm going to have them read that. Read 13 to see what this text is really about. Go ahead.
But I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren.
Concerning who?
Concerning them which are asleep.
Dead folks. That's who are asleep. Dead folks. Evidently, they had lost a loved one, and he's trying to comfort them about losing a loved one. So he said, I don't want you to be ignorant concerning them which are asleep. That what?
That ye sorrow not. Even as others which have no hope.
You ain't got to lose hope. Go into, we all going to sorrow when somebody died, but we don't have to sorrow out of control like there's no hope. Why? 14.
For if we believe that Jesus died and rose again.
Even what?
Even so, them also which sleep in Jesus.
Dead folks. I'm telling you, everything in these verses that people try to come up with a rapture to get you away from tribulation is really talking about dead folks. He said, we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so them also which sleep, dead, that died in Jesus shall what?
Will God bring with him.
God, he telling you, don't worry, God gonna bring them back. When he gonna bring them back? In the resurrection. When? At the second coming of Jesus. That's what this is all about. Go ahead, we might as well read the rest, 15.
For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord.
What's that?
That we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord.
Oh, so we really talking about the coming of the Lord, not a secret rapture, right? He said, we tell you this by the word of the Lord. He really kind of showing you from Zechariah 14 that the Lord is coming and the saints got to be coming with him. So the only way they can come with him is to meet him part way. That's what he really showing you. He said, "For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive," now he get to some living folks, but it's only in connection and conjunction with some dead folks. The whole conversation is about dead folks. He said, "For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain until the coming of the Lord shall" what?
"Not prevent them which are asleep."
He's still talking about the dead folks. But what he's trying to tell those that he was dealing with, he said, look, don't, just because, I know they dead, they gone, but you that survived, those of us that live till Jesus come, you're not going to be ahead of the curve on the dead folks. They good. He really trying to comfort them, to tell them that those people that have died, if they died right, they are good. That's what he's trying to tell them. So he said, you're not going to prevent them that's dead, that's asleep. You're not going to beat them out, in other words. You're not going to be ahead of them. Now we at 16. Wow, what's going to happen?
"For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout."
Oh, for the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout. What else?
"With the voice of the archangel."
And what else?
"And with the trump of God."
And with the trump of God. We know when the trumpet sound, brothers and sisters, what time it is. The trumpet is sounded, he's talking about after tribulation, right? After tribulation. He said immediately after tribulation, the sun going to get dark, the moon not going to shine, stars going to fall, and he's going to send his angels with a great sound of a sound of trumpet. This is when the Lord is coming. This is the same time as Matthew 24, which we can't help but conclude that it's after tribulation. We got Bible things going off and everything. At least it's a Bible app. We can't argue that. I thought it was mine because I was playing mine in the car. I said, did my Bible app come back on? What the heck? But so now it says, read that again, 16.
"For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God.
And what's going to happen?
And the dead in Christ shall rise first."
It's talking nothing about you being a secret rapture from tribulation. No, it's talking about the Lord coming. The Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel. And it's talking about the dead in Christ rising first. That's why he told you at 15, you're not going to beat them out. They actually going to beat you out by a fraction of a second. The ones that's dead, when Jesus comes, they're going to beat the ones that's walking on the earth, that's living, out by a fraction of a second, meeting the Lord in the clouds as he proceeds to come down here and take over this world. That's all he's telling you. Has nothing to do with sneaking you off from tribulation. Nothing whatsoever. Get the rapture out your vocabulary. But go ahead.
"Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds."
Now I told you who them were. It's the dead folks. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to do what?
"To meet the Lord in the air."
This the second coming of Jesus. Go ahead.
"And so shall we ever be with the Lord."
That's right. Go ahead. We might as well read 18.
"Wherefore comfort one another with these words."
Oh, these were they were meant to be comforting words to people that have lost a loved one. That look, your dead loved ones will be back when Jesus comes. You don't have to act like they lost permanently. Now, let's go to 1 Corinthians 15 to back it up. 1 Corinthians 15. So once we pretty much can conclude there is no rapture before tribulation to get you away from great tribulation, once we can securely see that from the Bible, we need to figure out what is the escape route to get away from tribulation. Because clearly Jesus said, because you kept the word of my patience, I will keep you from that tough time, that hour of temptation. So how is he going to keep you? Look, the Lord don't never do nothing so magnificent that you can't see it. He do it the same way. He do it the way he did with Lot out of Sodom and Gomorrah. He told him to run. The Lord always put the responsibility on us. Like I said about Noah, he told Noah, get the building. That's what saved Noah from the flood. Noah got to building. You're going to have to do something. You ain't going to be sitting around talking about, I'm going to be driving my car and it's going to be unmanned. No, the beast going to be man in your head if you waiting on the rapture. But now, 1 Corinthians 15 and 51. 1 Corinthians 15 and verse 51. Go ahead, read it.
Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed.
Again, he's talking about dead folks. We should not all die. That's what sleep means. But we all got to be changed. We all got to get that new body. Whether you live till Jesus come or you die before. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. Let's see when it's going to happen. Go ahead.
In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump.
It's going to happen just like that. In a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. See, that's the chief sign to know when the Lord is coming. He's raising the dead at the sound of a trumpet. Those that's living going to be changed. So those people in 1 Thessalonians 4 that get caught up and meet the dead folks in the cloud, they got caught up because they got a new body. They didn't get caught up in this flesh and blood body. You can't get caught up and meet the Lord like that. No, he going to change your body. What he's saying here, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. Go ahead.
For the trumpet shall sound.
The trumpet shall sound, and what?
And the dead shall be raised incorruptible.
And the dead will be raised incorruptible, and what else?
And we shall be changed.
And we, meaning who? The living, those that's living. See, they all dead now. Paul is dead now. So he'd be among the dead that's going to be raised. And we still living. If it would happen right now, before we die, then we going to be on the living side. We'll be the ones getting changed. But we know we still got some years. So, hey, unfortunately, probably not every one of us who listening right now will still be living. Because, hey, people dying every day. But either way, you okay if you walking with the Lord. You're still okay. What verse here? You finished 52, right?
Yes.
Matthew 24. Back there one more time. Back there again. Matthew 24. So let's just do a rehearsal and read through it one more time and see really how we going to get away from tribulation. What's the escape route? That's the title. The wilderness, not the rapture, the only escape from great tribulation. Matthew 24 and verse 3. Let's see how it's going to get. Go ahead.
And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying,
What they say?
Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?
So they asked a complete question about the end of the world. Concrete question. Tell us, when shall these things be? But then they went further and said, what shall be the sign of thy coming? Of course, meaning his second coming. You don't have a second and a third coming. It's only one more coming. What shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? Show us, tell us about that. And he went on to tell them about beware deception. He went on to tell them about wars and rumors of wars and famines and earthquakes and being hated. But he said those are the beginning of sorrows. So now we're going to skip down to really what I like to call the most important sign of the second coming of Jesus, which we touched on a little bit last week with the mark of the beast and all of that, because this is the most important one right here. I had some people, when I was new in the word in the 80s, this was some people following the guy that's dead now, called himself YBY. He called himself the Son of God. They was following him. They used to be walking around, all of them have on white all the time, and you know, they believed he was, the Son of God was here. Told me, well, the Son of God is here. I said, where he at? I ain't seen him. So then they was like, you know, well, he here and we protect him. I said, well, none of that ain't sounding right. But I just asked him this one thing from verse 15. I was getting on the bus in Chicago, and they got on the bus, and they looking at me like I crazy. I said, well, when did this happen? Because I need to, you know, if he here, I should have seen this. When did this happen? Verse 15, read it.
When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whoso readeth, let him understand.
Now this sign is so important. The Lord said, if you read this, you better figure it out. You need to get some understanding. That's why the Bible said, with all your getting, get understanding. It's not good enough just to be read. And that's the problem until you get somebody to teach it. I used to read the Bible. I wasn't getting understanding. I was asking the Lord. I think the Lord going to come down in my bedroom and start telling me stuff. I was like, Lord, you got to show me something. And you know what the Lord did? He led me to some people that was teaching the Bible, my teachers. The Lord is practical like that. So he said, when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, so you can't do away with the Old Testament when Jesus is talking about Daniel concerning the end of the world. You can't be doing away with the Old Testament. This was spoken of by Daniel the prophet. When you see it, though, stand where he said?
Stand in the holy place.
Stand in the holy place. Go ahead.
Whoso readeth, let him understand.
Whoso readeth, let him understand. So I asked the people as we was getting on the bus, I said, when did this happen? This is a big sign. And they looked at me. They didn't have no answer. They just looked at me like I stank or something. I thought it was a valid question. When did this happen? And now the one they said was coming to save us, he dead. He died of cancer. But now, let's keep on reading, verse 60. But when you see this sign, brothers and sisters, abomination, desolation, stand in the holy place, what should you do? Should you look up and wait for a rapture or what? 16.
Then let them which be in Judea flee.
Wait a minute. Why does anybody got to flee that believing in the Lord and waiting on a rapture, right? Is it a flee to the liftoff point or something? Why do you got to flee? Why would he tell anybody to flee if there was a rapture? He's telling you to flee. Go ahead. It's urgent. He's telling you, but he's not telling you, don't worry, I got you. He's telling you, run for your life. Like he told Lot, like he told Noah, get the building to save your life. He said, then let them which be in Judea flee to the mountains. Why are you telling people to flee to the mountains and you just going to swoop them up to heaven? Don't make no sense whatsoever. Go ahead.
Flee into the mountains.
He said, then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountain. That means run. Drop everything. It's so urgent. What? 17.
Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house.
That puts a responsibility on us, don't it? Don't even go back in your house. You got a little money under the mattress. You said, wait a minute, I'm going to go get it. Leave it. And look, obviously he got a plan if he telling you to flee to some mountains and don't take nothing. Obviously he got a plan. See, but this is why people, this sound crazy. It almost could sound like some Jim Jones stuff, right? But who is this? This Jesus, right? This ain't Jim Jones. This is Jesus telling you to do this, to drop everything. Don't go back and get nothing. Throw caution to the wind. And Israel gonna be happy. Israel said, I ain't gotta quit my job. Nope, you ain't gotta get no 2-week notice. You ain't gotta go back. You ain't gotta call your boss. Run. Go ahead.
18. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes.
Don't even go back to get no extra clothes. I'm gonna need a change of clothes. Don't worry about it. Israel was in the wilderness for 40 years. And the Lord said the shoe didn't get old on their foot. That means the Lord can take to you. The foot didn't swell up. The shoe didn't get old. Nothing happened to them. Go ahead.
And woe unto them that are with child. And to them that give suck in those days.
That's right. Go ahead.
But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day.
So clearly you taking flight, right? You are running for your life. It should sound familiar because Lot had to run from his life. This is when it's getting ready to hit the fan. But all this started, that's why I say that's the most important sign of all of them, at verse 15. The abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whoso readeth, let him understand. Then it's time to flee. But you got to know what that is. That's what I was trying to explain to them people. You don't know what this is, and you talking about the Son of God is back? When that happened? You got to know about that. Go ahead. That's why I'm saying, hey, we ain't telling somebody just on GP on our word, run and go somewhere or, come do some crazy stuff. Some of these preachers be talking about a rapture going to come on a certain day. Rapture was going to come 10 years ago. And they had people selling their houses. The first thing I would think, well, if the rapture coming, why I got to sell my house and give you the money? Well, just in case, just I keep it. Wait a minute. If we all about to get raptured, none of us shouldn't be worried about that stuff. So you want me to sell my house and give you the money? That's the benefit of having some street sense. I'll be like, nah, I don't think so. Let me hold the money. That don't make no sense. But go ahead. Where you at? Verse 21. Read 21. Go ahead.
For then shall be great tribulation.
Now I asked the question earlier. For when shall be great tribulation? It all go back to verse 15. The abomination of desolation moving into that holy place. That's a serious sign we need to know about. That's the only way we can understand great tribulation and when to flee. There is no rapture. We can forget about that. But it is a time to flee to the wilderness. And the Lord don't change, brothers and sisters. He took Israel to the wilderness in the old day, and he protected them out there. He gave them water to drink in the desert. That's a good hiding place, isn't it? Because don't nobody want to be over there. The Lord said, I got you. I'll take you over here. Ain't nobody out here. Ain't nobody living out there. You got to say, well, can I come over here? No, they're not even living out there. Don't nobody want to live out in the desert. The Lord said, since I'm God, I could do something real practical. I could take you out here. I ain't got to swoop you off the earth. And I can take care of you out here. I can give you food. I can give you water out here in the desert. And protect you from all the elements and everything else. So he said, for then, when the abomination of desolation shall be great tribulation once again, go ahead.
Such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time. No, nor ever shall be.
And it won't be again. But let's read 15 for GP one more time. Go ahead.
When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place.
Go ahead.
Whoso readeth, let him understand.
Whatever it is, it's going to be in the holy place. Let's go to Daniel since he quoted Daniel 11. Let's go to Daniel to get some understanding. Jesus didn't quote Daniel for no reason. He quoted Daniel because he wants you to get some understanding about this situation. You see, he got all this information in here, and for somebody to tell me I don't need to know I'm going to be raptured, you just eliminating everything the Lord trying to tell you. That makes no sense. Lord giving you concrete instruction, and you believe it on one word that somebody made up. He told you beware of false prophets. Daniel 11 and 31. Read it, my brother.
And arms shall stand on his part.
Arms shall stand on this guy's part, this individual. Arms shall stand on his part. Go ahead.
And they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength.
They shall pollute the sanctuary of strength and do what?
And shall take away the daily sacrifice.
And shall take away the daily sacrifice. Now, but what he said arms. So this is kind of like, you had stuff that happened in the past that mimic things, that be foreshadowing things that's going to happen in the end. So stuff like the abomination of desolation has happened in the past. You had people, and what it is the people going to take over Jerusalem and do what they want to do in the holy place at Jerusalem. Do it their way. So it happened in the past. This Greek king, Antiochus did it in the past, but it's going to happen again in our time. And this is what's going to lead us to the end of the world. So the key to understanding, though, is this is somebody with some power, with armies. He had it in the past, he's going to have it again. Arms shall stand in his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength. That's the Lord's sanctuary, which has never been nowhere but Jerusalem since he chose Jerusalem. He ain't chose another place. And they shall take away the daily sacrifice. Israel, the priesthood, the Levitical priests had to kill a lamb in the morning and a lamb in the evening every day. And the people over there in Jerusalem are going to reinstitute that pretty soon. You just keep watching the news. They're going to reinstitute that. Once they get permission and be able to do it close to where the old temple was at, they're going to be doing this. offering up the daily sacrifice. But then it said, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate. That's what Jesus said when you see the abomination of desolation. So what is that? This is a wicked individual, totally wicked, an abomination. And he going to be making desolate. He going to be killing. This is, again, how and when the mark of the beast will be given out, forcing you to worship a lot. Now, skip down to verse 40, because we're going to cut to the end, because some of this chapter in Daniel 11, it happened years ago, and then the Lord just jumped to the end, because that's what the Lord is most concerned with, what's going to happen in the end of the world. So go ahead, verse 40, read that.
And at the time of the end...
See, now he told you this is the time of the end, so if you didn't get nothing else, we are now reading about at the time of the end. And at the time of the end shall what?
Shall the king of the south push at him. And the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind.
Go ahead.
With chariots and with horsemen. And with many ships. And he shall enter into countries and shall overflow and pass over.
So you say, well, what this got to do with anything? Look, it's all a part of the wars and rumors of wars and nation against nation and kingdom against kingdom. It's all a part of that. It's all going on because that's what it boils down to. The big shots, big people that's in charge, they want to rule the world how they want to rule the world. So, but of course, the one with the power that's coming out of Rome, they going to have the power in the end. They going to regroup and put it back together and start dealing with it. Start dealing with it all over again. And they not going to take no threat from nobody. So this king of the south is somebody pushing at him. And he going to come against him with horsemen, with ships, and he going to enter into the countries and shall overflow and pass over. But where else he going to go? Because we got to get to this abomination of desolation in the holy place that Daniel spoke about. Verse 41. Go ahead.
He shall enter also into the glorious land.
Oh, there you go. See, you get into the holy land. That's where the abomination of desolation got to take place at. That's the same thing as glorious land. This man is now going to take over at this time the glorious land. And what we're reading right now, it has not happened yet. It has not happened yet. But it's going to happen. He shall enter also into the glorious land, and what?
And many countries shall be overthrown.
And many countries going to be overthrown. He's not playing with people. Because he want to rule it how he want to rule it. Go ahead.
But these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom and Moab, and the chief of the children of Ammon.
Oh, but a few areas are going to escape. And that's not a coincidence. Why are these areas going to escape? Because again, at this terrible time, when all this drama is going on, the Lord got a place for his people to be at. And it's in these areas in the wilderness. When Israel was in the wilderness in the old days, they was right around these countries. In other words, the wilderness borders all these countries near the promised land. So if you go back, for instance, if you go back on your own time, you read Deuteronomy, because we're not going to read this too much today. You read Deuteronomy 1, Deuteronomy 2. When Israel was on their way out of the wilderness, going to the promised land, they was walking. They wasn't on no ship. They walked. But they went past all of these countries right here. Who did he say? Moab, the chief. He said Edom, Moab, and the chief of the children of Ammon. Exactly. They went past these countries as they were on their way to the promised land. He even had to give them instructions when they passed them. He said, don't mess with them. That's their land. Don't mess with them. Don't try to do nothing with them. I gave them that land. You going past to go to your land. So this is what was going on, brothers and sisters. So it's no coincidence that we talking about in the last days, when it hit the fan, that these countries not going to get touched. Because if the chosen people, you got to realize we got all kind of technology. We got modern technology. For the Lord to protect some people in the modern technology age, He going to have to seal off some stuff. In other words, because they can, they can say, okay, they over there in the desert. Let's just drop a bomb over there if they want to hurt somebody, right? Lord ain't going to let no bomb drop over there. So it ain't going to touch none of these countries because that's all in the area. And this man, when he invading, he not going to even be able to touch them. He going to leave that area untouched. So this is happening for a reason. He said, but these shall escape out of his hand, Edom and Moab and the chief of the children of Ammon, but who not? Verse 42.
He shall stretch forth his hand also upon the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape.
And the land of Egypt shall not escape. So he going to take over Egypt. But go ahead, verse 45, because I want to cut to the chase where he going to do his dirt at, where he going to take over. Go ahead.
And he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas in the glorious holy mountain.
But he taking over the Holy Land. He moving his place of worship among the people in the glorious Holy Land. But didn't Jesus say when you see the abomination of desolation stand in the holy place? And what did he tell us to do? He said, especially if you hear, you better be the first one to flee, right? He said those that be in Judea, flee to the mountains, didn't he? Well, first of all, if he got you fleeing to the mountains and tell you don't take nothing, he must got something prepared for you. Because why you gonna tell me don't even get no canned goods? I got a bunch of canned goods I got saved up, so if I had to run and hide, I can eat. You gonna tell me, nope, don't go back and get nothing, Elijah. You must gonna have something for me to eat then, right? He got it prepared. He got it set up. He got to have it set up. So that's where the man gonna end up. He shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas in the glorious holy mountain. That's Jerusalem. Go ahead.
Yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him.
Yet he shall come to his end, and nobody gonna be able to help. This is this abomination guy. See, this is what we was reading in Matthew 24 when Jesus said, when the abomination of desolation move into the holy place, that's what he's talking about, the glorious holy mountain. He gonna move into there and do what he want to do. That's why it said flee and don't go back to get nothing. And then he said, why? For then shall be great tribulation such as there's not been since the beginning of the world and won't be after that. Go ahead to verse 12 and 1. Go right into the 12th chapter, Daniel. Just like we didn't miss nothing because it ain't really wasn't no chapters in the Bible. Go ahead.
And at that time.
So at what time? The time that we left off in 1135, 45. Time that we left off when the man planted his place of worship between the people in the glorious holy mountain. And at that time, what's going to happen?
Shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people.
That's right.
And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time.
Oh, that should sound just like Matthew 24, verse 21. Time of trouble like it's never been. And Jesus added that it'll never be a time of trouble like that. But it's only one time like that. So this is identical. Well, we should know we're going to get some understanding about it because Jesus referred us to Daniel the prophet, didn't he? He said, spoken of by Daniel the prophet. So it shouldn't be no surprise that we get intel about this abomination of desolation. So Michael going to stand up, which is the archangel. And it said, and there should be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And what?
And at that time thy people shall be delivered. Every one that shall be found written in the book.
Now the Lord going to start delivering. But now skip down to verse 10 and let's get to the point. Verse 10, go ahead.
Many shall be purified and made white.
Go ahead.
And tried. But the wicked shall be wickedly.
The wicked shall do wickedly.
Do wickedly.
So when you get some understanding, hey, you're going to have to go through some stuff. Many shall be purified and made white and tried even. Go ahead. But the wicked shall do wickedly and none of what?
And none of the wicked shall understand.
The wicked not going to get this. See, the key is getting understanding about what's going on. But if you're not serving God, he ain't going to give it to you. You ain't going to understand. But when you start doing God's will, he show you about what he's planning. It said the secret of the Lord is with them that fear him. He'll show you stuff. But go ahead, verse 11.
But the wise shall understand.
I'm sorry, yep, but the wise shall understand. Now verse 11.
And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away.
And what else?
And the abomination that maketh desolation set up.
And the abomination that maketh desolate set up. See, you know the man that's going to move into Jerusalem, not just Jerusalem, but to the temple that they're going to build, he going to have an idol with him and everything. Because he even going to make an image come to life eventually. So he said, from the time that day sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that make it desolate. This is what Jesus said, called it, Matthew 24:15, the abomination of desolation. Wickedness in the holy place. The place that God called his house. That's why Jesus is really probably busting at the seams to come back when he moved there. Because that's his house. It's like you didn't left, you didn't have the audacity. I go on vacation and I come back and some people in my house saying, this is my house now. That's how he doing the Lord. You gonna do God like that? You definitely gonna come to your end. That's what the Lord said in the 11th chapter. But now, from that time that the abomination make it desolate set up, how long it's gonna be?
There shall be 1,290 days.
1,200. That's 1,290 days. That's approximately 3.5 years. You got an extra 30 days because he got 90 instead of usually it say 60. But he's including them stopping the daily sacrifice. But either way, we in the ballpark of 3.5 years, brothers and sisters. 1,290 days. That's averaging a year being at 360 days. We know man got it to a science where it's 365, but we just average it out. 360 for a year, right? And 2 years, you got what, 720? 3 years, you got, I think, 1080. Then you add a half a year, you add 1260, and this is an extra 30 days for the sacrifice. 1,290 days, he said. Let's move further. Let's go to Ezekiel 21, though, and make sure we understand this holy place. Ezekiel 21. Because you need to understand if Jesus said, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. This is some wickedness that's going to stand in the holy place. So let's identify some holy place. The Lord is real particular. He set up shop in Jerusalem, and that's it. 21:1. Ezekiel 21:1. Go ahead, read it.
And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying,
What did he say?
Son of man, set thy face toward Jerusalem.
Oh, set your face toward Jerusalem. Go ahead.
And drop thy word toward the holy places.
And drop thy word toward the holy places. So where are the holy places at? It was all set up with Jerusalem, brothers and sisters. That's the city. That's the holy city. So when he had the temple built and he had different areas to the temple, that's where you get holy places, plural. The temple itself is a holy place. So he said, set that word toward Jerusalem and drop that word toward the holy places. Go ahead.
And prophesy against the land of Israel.
And prophesy against the land of Israel. You finish that?
Yes.
Okay, go to go to 2 Thessalonians, the 1st chapter. Matter of fact, let's go to Revelation 11 first. Let's go to Revelation 11 first. That was the next one, so we're going to switch them around. Revelation 11, then we're going to back up to 2 Thessalonians. Revelation 11 and verse 1. So the same holy places that the Lord had Ezekiel prophesy, that's the same place that this man of sin, this abomination is going to move into. And that's when that's when it's going to hit the fan. That's when we need to flee, not wait on the rapture. But we're going to get to where we're fleeing to. Bear with us. 11:1, read it.
And there was given me a reed like unto a rod. And the angel stood, saying, Rise, and measure the temple of God, and the altar.
Go ahead.
And them that worship therein.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not.
Why?
For it is given unto the Gentiles.
It is given to the Gentiles. The Gentiles rule the world. So this abomination and desolation, of course, he's a Gentile. Because they the ones rule the world. They the ones got the armies. They got the weapons. They rule the world. They the only ones can pull this off. Because this is going to be, remember, the Great Tribulation is a worldwide phenomenon. It's all over the world, forcing you to do what they want you to do. You got a little taste with this pandemic, how that could happen. Because most people, we could read this stuff till people turn blue in the face. They never thought, how can the world get to a point where they forcing you to do something that you don't want to do? Forcing everybody to do. That would never happen. I had people say that. Now, after that pandemic, they like, oh, I better rethink that. Because they showed you what lengths they can go to, be they right or wrong. They showed you what lengths they will go to. They can go to. So he said, look, the court, the angel said, rise and measure the temple of God. See, that's a holy place. And the altar, and them that worship therein. But then he told them, don't measure one part, verse 2, but the court which is without the temple, that would have been the old courtyard area. Don't measure that. Leave it out, because that's the specific area, he said, is given to the Gentiles. And read the end of verse 2 for me.
For it is given unto the Gentiles.
And what?
And the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months.
And the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. And they right at the holy place if they talking about the temple, right? How much is 42 months? Again, 3.5 years. Exactly. 12 months being a year. You put 3 of them together, that's 36. That's 3 years. You add 6 more, you got 42. You got 3.5 years. Just like 1290, even though 90 got an extra month because they threw something else in there concerning the sacrifice. But we right at 3.5 years, brothers and sisters. This is what Jesus was talking about. But the whole point that we showing is that there was no rapture if he said flee when you see it, right? This is when it's about to get hot and heavy. Jesus didn't say, wait, don't look up, the rapture coming. Jesus said, you better get busy and run. Don't even go in your house to get none. That's how urgent it is. So that's what he said. The court which is out the temple, leave it out, measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. And the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. At the same time, what the Lord going to do, though, because he got to have a counterbalance with some strong prophets here. Verse 3.
And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth.
And at the same time, he got 2 witnesses. They don't have no big pretty gowns on. They don't have big crosses hanging around their neck. They clothed in sackcloth, but they're going to be preaching the word for a time period. What's the time period again? He said it, 1,260, which is 60. So that's only 30 days from what we read in Daniel 12, verse 11, I believe it was. That's only 30 days different. That's why I told you the extra 30 days included them time to take away the daily sacrifice that they're going to start. So he said 1290 there. Here he said these guys going to prophesy 1260. So they're going to start prophesying simultaneously when the man moves into the holy place. Because the man going to be in the holy place for 3.5 years. It said 42 months, right? So all that time equals up. It all says 3.5 years, which is how long the Great Tribulation is. Now the question is, where you going to be at? Are you going to be able to be in a safe place? The only safe place, brothers and sisters, is that wilderness. But now let's look at something how the Lord is coming at the end of it, let's go to 2 Thessalonians. Because the Lord not coming to the end of it. Then we'll back up and see how we going to escape. But I just want to show clearly 2 Thessalonians 2 and 1 that this got to happen before Jesus come, and then Jesus putting it to an end after the 40 and 2 months. Jesus not coming in the middle of the 40 and 2 months. He coming at the end of it. 2 Thessalonians 2 and verse 1. But we know he coming to stop the madness, because he said if he don't shorten those days, there won't be no flesh saved. 2 and 1. Go ahead.
Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ,
go ahead,
and by our gathering together unto him,
that what?
That ye be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled.
Go ahead.
Neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that the day of Christ is at hand.
Don't be shook up about Jesus coming before he coming, really. And somebody telling you, like some preachers have said, Jesus could come any day. First of all, Jesus can't come anyway. We know that. It's too much stuff written that got to happen before Jesus comes. What Jesus can't do is lie. So he done told you signs that must happen. Like, that's why I asked those people on the bus stop that time as we was getting on the bus. That's why I asked them, well, when did the abomination of desolation stand in the holy place? Spoken by Daniel the prophet. Because you telling me Jesus comes, so that's how you could test a lie. You telling me Jesus come, I haven't seen this. Have you seen it? This is why I asked them. And they thought I was crazy. But I know Jesus can't come till that happen. Ain't no ifs, ands, and buts about it. He can't be here. So I done proved you a liar already. That's why I would have used that on Jim Jones. So you could disprove. I was like, Jim Jones, you telling me to run with you? Okay, I'm going to go, man. I'm going to go. But tell me when this happened. And he going to be looking crazy. I'll be like, see you, Jim. Go ahead. I tell y'all, don't drink the Kool-Aid. But if y'all go, you in trouble. But go ahead.
3. Let no man deceive you by any means. For that day shall not come.
Oh, that's absolute, isn't it?
Yes.
He gonna give you the stipulation, but so far he said that day shall not come. Talking about the coming of the Lord. That day shall not come, except what?
Except there come a falling away first.
Oh, first it got to be a falling away, and then what else got to happen?
And that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition.
That's the abomination. He got to be revealed. Jesus can't come to this man do all this dirt. He got to do all this dirt. He got to take over Jerusalem, take over the temple area. Because we showed last week here, religious man. It's a beast, an emperor, and it's a false prophet, a preaching, a religious man, religious leader, all out of Rome. It's real simple. But Jesus can't come until this dirt go down, until this man of sin be revealed. Can't happen. What are you going to do? How are you going to recognize? What verse you at?
4.
Go ahead.
Who opposeth and exhaleth himself above all that is called God.
Oh, so that's how you going to know this man. How you going to know him? What he going to do? This man opposeth and exalted himself. He got to be crazy. Above all that is called God, or what?
Or that is worship. So that he, as God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God.
Who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God. So that he, or that is worship. So that he, as God, sitteth in the temple, i.e., holy place. That's the holy place. But people don't know what that is. And Jesus said that's a sign. If you read it, you better figure it out. So that he, as God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. He got to do this. Jesus can't come till you see this happen. You look over in Jerusalem, they don't even have a temple built yet. They're not doing a daily sacrifice. And they definitely ain't had no man come over there and take it over. All that got to happen while we living, brothers and sisters. That got to happen. Then Jesus could come. Now we're going to get to it. Skip down to verse 8 and let's see.
And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming.
See, the Lord going to destroy this man when he coming. That's at the head of his agenda, to kill this crazy man who doing this dirt. He going to destroy him when he come. Go ahead.
Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders.
That's what this man got, brothers and sisters, that's going to do this dirt. He going to have witchcraft power. So that's why he say even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. But the Lord going to destroy him, it said, with the spirit of his mouth. Because he got a two-edged sword, it said. And with the brightness of his coming. Now let's go back to Revelation 13. We're going to get back into why he doing this dirt before the Lord come and see what we supposed to do to escape that terrible time. Revelation 13 and 4. Go ahead, read it.
And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast.
That's what everybody going to be doing that don't know no better. That's why we out preaching and warning people, brothers and sisters. Those that don't know no better, they're going to be worshiping Satan, the devil. That's the dragon. They worship the dragon. That's when this Roman Empire then came back to life. You think you happy to see this powerful institution revived, but ultimately you worshiping the devil. They worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. We know the beast is the empire, the kingdom. We dealt with that last week, but go ahead.
And they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?
That means it's a kingdom. They got armies fighting for it. Go ahead.
And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things.
Go ahead.
And blasphemies. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months.
42 months again. How many times we got to read that to really believe what the Bible is saying? 3.5 years. Same thing as Revelation 11, where it said they're going to try down the holy city 42 months. Lord got some prophets out there, 1,260 days. We read Daniel 12. He said 1,290 days this dirt is going to go on. This is the time you want to avoid, brothers and sisters. But there is no rapture. But you want to be in a place of safety if at all possible. Go ahead.
6. And he opened his mouth in blaspheming against God.
Go ahead.
To blaspheme his name. And his tabernacle.
So this man again is blaspheming God. Gonna move into God's house in Jerusalem, and he blaspheming God. Go ahead.
And them that dwell in heaven.
Go ahead.
And it was given unto him to make war with the saints.
And he gonna be making war with saints. He hate the saints. So this lets you know there's no rapture, because some saints gonna die, first of all, that don't make it to the place of safety. See, God always has some martyrs. That's why I like to point that out. So, hey, like I said, you can hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Because if you left, we all hope we can get away. And a lot of people going to escape to the wilderness. More people going to escape, I believe, than not, that know God. So, but still, everybody not going to escape. So if you don't escape, you got to make sure you don't take the mark of the beast at no cost. But we're going to get to the escaping, but we know he's still going to kill some holy people that's left that don't escape. Go ahead.
And to overcome them.
So it said it was given unto him to make war with the saints and overcome them, and what?
And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations.
Okay, so he got some power everywhere. But go ahead, verse 8.
And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him.
See, people that don't know better, obviously the saints know better. That's why he's killing the saints. See, the saints not going. The ones that don't make it to the place of safety, to the wilderness, they not going. They're going to be like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. We ain't bowing down. We won't do it. Do what you got to do. That's the mindset of a saint. But everybody else, they going for the okie doke. He said, all that dwell on earth shall worship him. Who's what?
Whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world.
Whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. So they don't know no better. Skip down now to verse 13. Let's see some of the dirt. Again, we already narrowed it down. It's 3.5 years, 42 months, 1,260 days. We narrowed down. That's the time period of Great Tribulation. Let's see what's going on during that time. Go ahead, verse 13.
And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
See, he's going to be doing this during the 3.5 years. He's going to be able to probably kill people this way. That's why I said when the Lord destroy him at the end of Great Tribulation, when it's all over, he's going to destroy the man that was doing these lying wonders. Go ahead.
And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast.
Go ahead.
Saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live.
Keep going.
And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
See, this is what's going on during tribulation. If you don't worship, you're going to be killed. And again, if you're a saint, you know you can't worship. You know you can't go along with it. This is why we need to beware that some saints going to die. But the good news is everybody not going to die. Matter of fact, the majority of saints, the reason why I know it's the majority of saints, that saints when it start, are going to get away because he called it the woman is going to escape. And then he called the ones left a remnant. So the woman going to escape, which is the bulk of the church that know God, the bulk of the saints. But he got to leave some saints or else won't be nobody to warn people. That's why he got those witnesses. Those witnesses not going to even go to the wilderness at all. But they're going to have power to defend themselves. And they're going to survive until the tribulation is over with. Then even they going to die. So, but this is the dirt that's going on that this man is doing for that 40 and 2 months, 3.5 years. He doing witchcraft, and he making an image, a statue come to life. What verse here, 15?
16.
16, my bad, go ahead.
And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor,
yes, sir,
free and bond.
He don't care who you are. People be talking about Illuminati. I got sick of hearing about Illuminati for a while. You know, that's all people say, Illuminati. Illuminati ain't nobody. There's some few people with little money and little power. This man don't care. I'm gonna tell you who matters. The one with the weapons matter. The one with the guns matter. This man got armies. He don't care nothing about no Illuminati. He gonna tell Illuminati, bow down too. That's what he gonna say. That's what he's saying. Notice, read it again, 16.
And he causeth all, both small and great.
Small and great, go ahead.
Rich and poor.
He don't care if you got money. Go ahead.
Free and bond.
Free, he don't care if you're locked up or if you're free. Go ahead.
To receive a mark in their right hand.
He want everybody to recognize, don't he? Go ahead.
Or in their foreheads.
That what?
And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name.
See, it don't matter how much money you got, if you don't take that mark, you can't spend it. Go ahead.
Here's wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man.
And what's that number?
And his number is 666.
666. Everybody heard of it, but we know what it is. It's one of the titles of the vic. He called himself the vicar, which adds up to 666 in Roman numerals. Vicarious filii in Latin, it adds up to 666. Because you know Roman numerals have Roman letters have numerical values. So it adds up to that. But now, we dealt with that last week. Let's go to Revelation 12, because now finally, we see there's no rapture. We see what tribulation look like. Now we're going to see what's the way for us to escape since there is no rapture. Ain't no need of waiting around looking up, talking about waiting on the Lord. You're going to be standing there. Then the beast going to come along. Did you take the mark of the beast? While you sitting there stumbling like, I was waiting on the rapture. He going to be like, there is no rapture, my son, but you need it. He not playing. So you waiting on the wrong thing. Revelation 12 and verse 1. Let's see what it really is. Go ahead.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven. A woman clothed with the sun. And the moon under her feet.
Go ahead.
And upon her head a crown of 12 stars.
Now this woman represents the nation of Israel, which is God's church. Everybody else, other nationalities are welcome, but they all got to become a part of the woman, which is the 12 tribes of Israel. You go back to Genesis 37, that's how Joseph in the dream he described Israel being the sun and the moon representing the father, Jacob, and his wife. 12 stars, 11 stars, he said, bow down to him. He was the 12th star. So it said, there appeared a great one in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. This is that woman. Let's see what happened to that woman. How she going to get away? Verse 6. Because remember, when God delivered Israel from slavery in Egypt, where did he take them? To the wilderness. Now, were they alone? Hey, in Exodus 12, it said a bunch of other nations went with them. A mixed multitude, it said. So they weren't out in the wilderness by themselves. It was other nationalities welcome to follow them and worship the one and only God. So it wasn't just for Israel. Now, verse 6, let's see what happened to this woman. Go ahead.
And the woman fled into the wilderness.
And the woman fled into the wilderness. Wait, you mean she didn't get raptured over there? She fled. But that's in line with what Jesus said, when you see certain things, to what? Flee. That's what Lot did. He fled. His wife didn't flee quick enough and looked back and died. You want to run, like the Lord said. And the Lord going to pave the way. People say, well, I need a passport. I got a passport, but I don't think it's going to be contingent on that. Because somebody, it's not based on having a passport. The Lord he can turn it the way he wanted to go. But he is in control of it, just like when they left Egypt. The Lord controlled the direction, the flow that they went. So that's what it said. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where what?
Where she hath a place prepared of God.
Oh, it's prepared. No wonder he said don't take none, right? He said don't go back in your house. He got a place prepared in the wilderness. Can God really furnish a table in the desert, where the Bible actually say that? He can. He did before, and he going to do it again. He can take care of you in the desert. See, this is what the Bible telling us, and we opting for some man-made fairy tale of rapture. Nowhere in the Bible. He said the woman fled into the wilderness where she had a place prepared of God. That what?
That they should feed her there 1,260 days.
You mean exactly the time frame we've been reading about, right? 3.5 years. It's crystal clear. You can't get away from this. But now let's skip down to verse 14 and let's look at the whole gist of it. Because she is going to get away. It's going to be touch and go for a minute, but she's going to get away. But it's going to be some people left that we need to be concerned about too, who need to keep the faith. Go ahead, verse 14.
And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle.
See, that's symbolic. You ain't going to ride on no eagle. That's symbolic of whose power you making it on. It's going to be God's power to have a mass exodus of people that make it to some desert over in what they call the Middle East. It's going to be God's power to do that. They make it to that desert. So that's what the eagle wings stand for. Israel left on eagle's wings when they left Egypt. We're going to read that in a second. So it said, to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle. That what?
That she might fly into the wilderness.
But that's where she going. It didn't say fly to heaven, did it? Fly into the wilderness. Go ahead.
Into her place. Where she is nourished for a time and a times and a half a time. 3.5
years. Time is 1. You add that to times plural, which is 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. And a half a time is a half a year. 3.5 years. You can't get away from it. From who though?
From the face of the serpent.
She's going to be nourished and taken care of 3.5 years from the face of the serpent. See, when you understand this, you don't believe the fairy tale. And you know that it's going to be some work for you to put in to get there, because he said flee, didn't he? Go ahead, 15.
And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood.
That's right, go ahead.
And the earth helped the woman.
Uh-huh.
And the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth.
That's right.
And the dragon was wroth with the woman.
So the dragon, Satan, gonna really try to stop us from fleeing. Why you think Jesus is saying flee? That means it is urgent. Why you think Jesus said don't go back in your house to get nothing? You've been and got, they be talking about that, they have movies talking about the rapture. There is no rapture, but it is a such thing as getting left behind. You mess around too long, you'll be, because Lot's wife got left behind, right? And Jesus told us concerning these times, remember Lot's wife. He said, he told you that in Luke, the 17th chapter. Remember Lot's wife. So now, the woman fled, and the serpent trying to stop her, but the woman got away. Now, verse 17 said, and the dragon, which is the devil, which is Satan, was wroth with the woman because she got away. Go ahead.
And went to make war with the remnant of her seed.
Oh, now he going back to get the remainder, because God leaving a few. So he said, I can't get that woman. She's safe. But I can get the remainder that's still out here in the world. Go ahead.
Which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ.
Oh, we see what make you a saint, or what make you a part of the woman, which is the church, doing what? Keeping the commandments of God and have faith in Jesus. Have the testimony of Jesus. Not just a testimony, but now let's go to Exodus 19 and show you this ain't nothing new. God do the same thing. He don't change. Exodus 19. So if last week, if it was real tough on you, you thought it wasn't no hope, you got to just die, you're going to get your head chopped off. Well, this is the hope that you got. Only thing you got to do is focus on doing God's will. He's going to take care of the rest. And God already said he won't put more on us than we can bear. So he know everybody not meant to die for the word. But some will. But the majority, he got a way for us to escape. And I want to be in that number that escaped. When I was new in the word, I was zealous, talking cash money stuff. I was zealous. I'm ready to die for the Lord. I'm ready. Every day I'd be like, Lord, I take it back. I didn't know what I was saying. See, when you knew, you be saying a lot of stuff. Talking stuff. But hey, whatever happened is in the Lord's hands, but I'm putting my bid in for making it to the wilderness and living. Exodus 19:1. Go ahead, read it, my brother.
In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai.
So this is nothing new. The Lord been taking people to the wilderness, brothers and sisters, for a long time. This is his M.O. And the Lord don't change. Why do the Lord need to change when everything he do work? It worked before, so it's like, I ain't got to come up with a new plan. The last plan, it worked. So back here, he didn't swoop Israel out of Egypt, literally. No, he snatched them from under Pharaoh's hand, and he took them to the desert to get them alone, by themselves. In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, immediately, the same day came they into the wilderness. They're out in the desert now of Sinai. And mind you, they stayed 40 years. So 3.5 years is nothing then, right? Go ahead, verse 2.
For they were departed from Rephidim and were come to the desert of Sinai and had pitched in the wilderness.
Go ahead.
And there Israel camped before the mount.
And that's where they camped. Before this mountain, this is when they literally going to meet with God. But let's see what the Lord said. Go ahead.
And Moses went up unto God, and the Lord called unto him out of the mountain.
Moses literally going to talk to God in the mountain, Mount Sinai. Go ahead.
Saying, thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel.
Tell them what?
Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians,
Oh, he destroyed their army in the Red Sea. Go ahead.
and how I bare you on eagle's wings,
Uh-huh.
and brought you unto myself.
Oh, so they was on those eagle wings too. Not literally. Symbolic. It was God's power. But we reading about the woman in Revelation getting 2 wings of a great eagle. It is nothing new. Same old script. Exodus 13. Let's see how it went, because people always ask me, Brother, you think I need my passport? I need to get ready. Look, Jesus already warned you about trying to do too much preparation. Look, your preparation got to be focusing on his will. Learning the word, doing the word. If you focus on that, God will take care of everything else. You ain't got to worry about all that other stuff. He going to show you at the time. Look, we going to read here. Israel, they had been telling Pharaoh. Moses had been going to Pharaoh. Look here, Pharaoh, let the people go. Let us go. We going to go. Let us go. Let us go. Let us go. And when Pharaoh finally, after the Lord killed the firstborn, Pharaoh said, y'all can go. They didn't even know exactly which way to go. You mean they didn't have a road map? Not at all. But they didn't need one because the Lord was directing them. Let's look at it. Exodus 13 and verse 17. Exodus 13 and verse 17. Go ahead.
And it came to pass, when Pharaoh had let the people go, that God led them not through the way of the land of the Philistines.
So first of all, God was leading them, wasn't he? And he didn't lead them a particular way. It mentioned this on purpose. He would not lead them through the land. So man's logic would have said, this is the best way to go. But God's wisdom said, nah, I better not lead them that way. Why? Why not, by the way? Go ahead.
Although that was near.
That was close. Go ahead.
For God said, let peradventure the people repent when they see war, and they return to Egypt.
See, he know Israel's some scary Jerrys. He know they scared. He said they going to go, if I take them that way, that's the closest way. He said they going to turn around, go back to Egypt when they see some people come out for fighting. Scare itself, be selling all those wolf tickets. God know his people. He said, I can't send them that way. They're going to get scared and go back. And we was trying to get back to Egypt all the time. Let's just go back to Egypt. Because, you know, you even get comfortable in a bad situation. It might be bad, but you used to it, so you don't want to do nothing else. Look, you have to broaden your horizons. Go where God leading you. Go ahead, verse 18.
But God led the people about through the way of the wilderness of the Red Sea. And the children of Israel went up, harnessed out of the land of Egypt. And Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for he had straitly sworn the children of Israel, saying, God will surely visit you, and you shall carry up my bones away hence with you.
Go ahead.
And they took their journey from Succoth and encamped in Etham, and on the edge of the wilderness.
In the edge of the wilderness. So they made it to the wilderness, but then they end up, of course, they got locked in. They got locked in with the Red Sea, but go ahead.
And the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of a cloud to lead them the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, to go by day and night.
Go ahead, 22.
He took not away the pillar of the cloud by day, nor the pillar of fire by night.
So look, go ahead.
From before the people.
So he led them. That's the moral of the story. He led them. They didn't need a road map on their own. They didn't need to have to try to figure it out. Matter of fact, the way they end up getting locked in with the Red Sea, but that was God's plan. So we just got to look for the signs that God has given us at that time. He going to show us when it's that time. And the way he going to lead you might not even seem practical. Somebody might say, well, I ain't going that way. Well, go ahead. But God going to show you which way to go. Right. But now, let's go to Isaiah 43. A couple of more after this. 3 more after this. Isaiah 43. And we're going to pick it up at 18 because God don't change. He do things the same way. So that's why we went back and looked how he did it when he brought Israel out of Egypt, because he going to do it the same way in our time. Even with the eagle's wings, his power is going to do it. But there is no rapture. That's just a man-made false teaching that got people still sleeping. But let's see The wilderness, it sounds crazy to the average person if you ain't been reading the Bible. Let's see what the Bible said about it. Isaiah 43 and 18. Isaiah 43 and 18, read it.
Remember ye not the former things, neither consider the things of old.
Why not? Go ahead.
Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall ye not know it?
He said, don't even worry about what I did in the old days, because he about to do something else. See, we just go back and look at the comparative. So what he said, look, what I did in Egypt, it's not going to be considered nothing by what I'm going to do this time. Let's see, what he going to do? Go ahead.
I will even make a way in the wilderness.
I will make a way in the wilderness. He done it before, so it shouldn't be that hard to conceive. Go ahead.
And rivers in the desert.
And rivers in the desert. I'm going to make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. It don't normally happen like that. Rivers are not usually in the desert. Go ahead.
The beasts of the field shall honor me.
The Lord said, I'm going to do it so cold, the animals going to honor me. The animals going to be praising God. I said, ooh, God is something else. He said, the beasts of the field shall honor me. Go ahead.
The dragons and the owls.
The dragons and the owls. Go ahead. Why?
Because I give waters in the wilderness.
Because I give waters in the desert. Go ahead.
And rivers in the desert.
And rivers out there. Go ahead. Well, but why is he doing all of this? I wonder why. Let's see.
To give drink to my people, my chosen.
Oh. Now this is in Isaiah. Long time after Exodus. So he ain't talking about the past, right? He said, I'm going to do a new thing that you better look out for. This is what he getting ready to do now for us. Let's go to Isaiah 41. That's the place you want to be. Don't seem like the best place, but this is how God get down, and it's going to be perfect when you see people in the world, quote unquote, dying all around. And the man hunting people down, trying to make them take the mark of the beast. That wilderness is going to sound pretty good. 41, Isaiah, back up 2 chapters, Isaiah 41 and 17, read it when you get it.
When the poor and needy seek water, and there is none.
Go ahead.
And their tongue faileth for thirst.
Go ahead.
I, the Lord, will hear them. I, the God of Israel, will not forsake them. I will open rivers in high places.
I will open rivers in high places. Go ahead.
And fountains in the midst of the valleys.
Yes, sir. What else?
I will make the wilderness a pool of water.
He said, I will make the wilderness a pool. You know you got a lot of people out there. You got to pass some pools of water, right? Especially we be crying for a minute. You ain't had nothing to drink 5 minutes. I'm about to die of thirst. God know his people. He said, I will make the wilderness a pool of water and what?
And the dry land springs of water.
And the dry land springs of water. Go ahead.
I will plant in the wilderness the cedar, the shittim tree, and the myrtle, and the oil tree.
He planted trees in the desert. Years ago, some Edomites went out there and tried to act like they was doing, they planted some stuff. That stuff dried up because they trying to act like Israel home now. Look, you way out of pocket. But now, when the Lord do it, it's going to grow because he going to need to be able to feed people too. You can't just drink, right? You got to have some vegetation. Go ahead.
I will set in the desert the fir tree and the pine and the box tree together.
Go ahead.
That they may see and know and consider and understand together.
That what?
That the hand of the Lord hath done this.
Yes, sir.
And the Holy One of Israel hath created it.
Isaiah 35 now. Isaiah 35. But we see what he's doing it for. He's doing it to take care of his people. But it's nothing new. He did it in the old days. He had Moses smite the rock in the old days and water gushed out in the wilderness. Nothing new. Nothing new. Go ahead to Isaiah 35. Pick it up at verse 1. Go ahead, read it.
The wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice.
Now, notice this. He talking from the wilderness standpoint. He said the wilderness and the solitary, that's the silent, nothing going on over there, the solitary place, shall be glad for them, he said. The wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them. Go ahead.
And the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose.
And the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. This literally gonna happen. This ain't all over our Bible for no reason. But we opt out for a secret rapture that's nowhere in the Bible. But then we read this stuff, people think you crazy. Go ahead, what verse you at? 2. Isaiah 35:2, go ahead.
It shall blossom abundantly.
He said the wilderness is going to blossom abundantly. Go ahead.
And rejoice even with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it. The excellency of Carmel and Sharon, they shall see the glory of the Lord. And the excellency of our God.
Yes, sir. Verse 3.
Strengthen ye the weak hands, and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Behold, your God will come with vengeance.
That lets you know God haven't come yet, but he doing all this prior to him coming. And it's a lot of drama you trying to escape. So it's a lot of fear going on. Say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong. Fear not, behold, your God will come with vengeance. Because he on his way. When we go to the wilderness, he on his way in 3.5 years. But we got to sit there and be patient, right? Go ahead.
Even God with a recompense, he will come and save you.
Verse 5.
Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap as in the hart, and the tongue of the dumb sing.
Why?
For in the wilderness shall waters break out.
Back to that water again. In the wilderness shall waters break out. Go ahead.
And streams in the desert.
And streams in the desert. Keep reading.
And the parched ground shall become a pool.
The parched ground couldn't grow, wasn't just so dry, it's called parched. It's going to become a pool. And what else?
And the thirsty land springs of water. In the habitation of dragons, where each lay shall be grass with reeds and rushes.
All kind of vegetation. See, the Lord got this thing planned. But it got to be something, brothers and sisters, because there's no reason for Jesus to say, flee to some mountains and don't take nothing with you unless he got something prepared. Jesus just trying to kill you then, right? That sounds like some Jim Jones stuff if you don't know no better. No, he said, flee. I got a place where I'm going to secure you at. You ain't even got to take nothing. Don't go get no money. If you could make it, you straight. All you got to do is make it. But go ahead. We might as well read verse 8. Read a little further. Go ahead.
And an highway shall be there, and a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness.
That's right. Go ahead.
The unclean shall not pass over it.
That lets you know when the people leave there and go to the promised land, ain't nobody unclean making it. Go ahead.
But it shall be for those, the wayfaring men, those fools shall not err therein.
It's going to be for wayfaring men, and fools won't err therein. They're not going to make it. Verse 9.
No lion shall be there, nor any ravenous beast shall go up thereon.
Go ahead.
It shall not be found there. But the redeemed shall walk there.
But the redeemed, that's who walking there. Go ahead, might as well read 10.
And the ransomed of the Lord shall return. And come to Zion with songs.
Because ultimately the end of the story is, though, once we go to the wilderness, then everybody else come to the wilderness. From there, after the Lord get Israel straight, you go into the promised land. So it ain't just a permanent wilderness thing. That's just a temporary place for tribulation until the Lord fixes Israel. Then eventually he said, and the ransom of the Lord shall return and come to Zion. Go ahead with what?
With songs and everlasting joy upon their heads.
Go ahead.
They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away.
Okay, Psalm 91, and this is it. Psalm 91. But this show you, brothers and sisters, the Lord got a place on this earth to take care of you. I like it when the Lord say he can prepare a table for you in the midst of your enemies. He ain't got to swoop you up to heaven. He ain't got to take you off the planet to take care of you. He showed that with Israel when he took them out of Egypt. Psalm 91. And you will be able to hear and know the drama. going on with the mark of the beast and all of that drama, you'll be able to know about that, but it ain't going to touch you. Psalm 91:1. Go ahead.
He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord,
go ahead.
He is my refuge and my fortress.
Yes, sir.
My God, in him will I trust.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler.
Oh, he can deliver you from that. Go ahead.
And from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shall thy trust.
He can protect you anywhere. That's what the moral of this story is. It ain't got to be no rapture. There is no rapture. But he can protect you anywhere if you're doing his will. That's what the contingency is. He said, because you kept the word of my patience, Revelation 3:10, because you kept the word of my patience, I also will keep you from the hour of temptation that the whole world going to experience. Go ahead, finish that.
His truth shall be thy shield and buckler.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night.
That means it might be some terror by night then, right? But you won't be afraid of it. Go ahead.
Nor for the arrow that flieth by day. Nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness.
Nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness. That's diseases. And that's why we were still here during the pandemic. We were still here because the Lord already told us he can take care of you in any of these situations. And I felt this was the safest place to be. To be honest, I was scared not to be here. That's what I felt. I was like, we need to keep keeping the Sabbath day. And the Lord showed that he could take care of you from the pestilence that walketh in darkness, because didn't nobody catch COVID from being at Bible class. Didn't nobody who was at Bible class catch COVID and die during that whole time. When they were saying, somebody going to be dead, if you get more than 10 people together, but we had about 200 together. And then nobody get sick and die. He said, but he's telling you this right here. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that fly by day. Verse 6, read it again.
Nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness.
That's what COVID is. You can't see it. You can't even see what's going on. So I say, we know we need the Lord to fight that. Ain't no need of trying to figure out no other sideways. Nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness. What else?
Nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand.
1,000 will fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand. Go ahead.
But it shall not come nigh thee.
Go ahead.
Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. Because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation.
Go ahead.
There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling.
For he said, there shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. Why?
For he shall give his angels charge over thee.
This is what Satan quoted to Jesus, but tried to get Jesus to do something crazy, jump off a building or something. That don't mean you tempt God, because God is promising you protection. So that don't mean you take something like that, you run in the middle of a gunfight or act like, well, God gonna protect you no matter what. Nah, that's if you in that situation. You can still trust in him. For he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways. Go ahead, verse 12, this is it.
To keep thee in all thy ways. 12. They shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone.
Hope you got some understanding in Jesus' name.